Hi there guys and welcome. These are your handover videos for your Swift Grande Major 4 SB. So starting off at the front, you have your black hitch head just here and black lever, well silver in this case. You have to have that pulled up simultaneously to then wind down the jockey wheel onto the tow bar. That will then snap that handle down, push up this red button and expose a green ring. You then have your breakaway cable just here. If you have an eye point, it has to be used. If not, just wrap it around the tow bar. You then have your handbrake just here. And it is with 13-pin electric. So if you have got 7-pin adaptation, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. Then just here, I have a red propane gas bottle with an in-date gas hose connecting onto regulator just here. Now it is a single regulator. These black gas hoses run for 5 years. Hand tighten that as much as possible and then just nip it up using a spanner. You don't want it ridiculously tight because that puts pressure on the washer. Too much pressure can cause it to begin to crack and lead to a gas leak. But once both sides are firmly connected, not too tight, not too loose, twist the gas bottle in the open or positive direction. 2 points either side and 2 points at the back, you have inserts for your legs. You have a leg winder that comes with the caravan, or you can get yourself a 19mm drill bit and a power drill just to make it that bit quicker. Do not attempt to jack up or level the caravan using your legs, they are simply used for stabilisation. Now, we are running with test equipment today. On the opposing side, first up, you have your flue. Your flue is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler. Don't have to do anything with this except make sure it's nice, clean and tidy. Then just here, we're using your water pump and our test Acrol full of clean drinking water. Take that out just temporarily. At the bottom of the actual pump itself, you have your strainer. Now it's crucial that the strainer sits at the bottom of the barrel, as otherwise it will essentially gasp and lead to coughs and splutters in your water flow. Now, as you can see, they do have a little bit of a tendency to curl up, so what I'd recommend doing is getting some PVC piping, bolting it around the bottom, so essentially no water, well, it's always straight. You then have a plastic cap to go over the top of the Acrol to make sure no nastiness gets in, and then your water lead just plugs in nice and easy, just like so. To remove it, you have to press in the trigger and pull it out, just like that. When it's pulled in like that, it can't be removed without pressing that in. Then here we have your battery locker. So there's not a battery fitted on this example. If you ever need to replace your battery, you'll either need a 12 or 13mm spanner for the terminals. Then just next to it, you have your plug-in for your mains lead just here. There is a little bit of a cutout just there, so essentially you can lock up the locker and still have your mains plugged in without the threat of anyone yanking it out. This example does have a mover fitted, which I'll show on collection. Then you have these two inserts just here. That is where your wastewater from both your shower and your sink will come from. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipe to then feed into a waste master that you can then empty out at the appropriate point on site. Lastly, for the exterior, you have your toilet function. So first up, you have your cassette toilet. This is where all your waste will go into. To remove it, press up on the handle and pull out just like so. Now you can also extend that up and out to essentially use it almost like a carry-on suitcase. Twist that head to the side, open up that cap. What you want to do is tilt, and at the same time as tilting, continually press in that button there to vent. What I'd recommend doing as well, opening up that cap, feeding in some fresh water, shutting that cap up, a little bit of a shake, and then tilt and vent. Then on this cap here, you have measurements both imperial and metric, and that is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes into that component just there, twist it on nice and tight, head back to the central position, push it in so that orange handle sits behind those white teeth, as then it can't be removed without pressing up that handle. Then just here, you have your flush tank. So This can hold 12 litres of water, however I wouldn't recommend putting in any more than 10 as you don't want it to overfill. You can also add a little bit of pink chemical which works as a bleach without being corrosive and ultimately makes it smell a bit nicer. Now you don't want to travel with either of these too full, so to fully drain off the flush tank, just up here, got a little bung to drain out the system. The caravan itself will be fully drained off before you leave with it. Then we have all of this underneath your right hand side seat, so I wouldn't recommend storing anything underneath here just so nothing gets damaged. This here is your boiler. Don't have to do anything with this, but you can also access it by removing this part just here. Then you have your jets to push it through. Then you have this yellow switch just here, which is your drain valve. When it's in the horizontal position, that is allowing the flow of water to come through. When it's in the vertical position, that means any water inside the system is being drained off. November to March, have that up permanently unless you're actively using the caravan, and anytime you come off site, give the caravan a quick drain off, as you don't want water sloshing around the system and potentially damaging anything. This black box that says eMove is your brain box for your eMove motor mover, sort of plug. Then you have your battery charger on the side here, which is this silver box, and you have your trips just here and fuses. I'd always recommend carrying some extra fuses, but all your trips in the upright position and all your fuses in the correct position there. Heating and hot water and charger buttons both illuminated, meaning that they're both working and active. You then have a reverse polarity button just here and a complete system shutdown button. Press that button in, nothing inside the caravan will operate. If you do need some more information on your trips and fuses, pull down this board and it tells you a bit more about it. Then just here we have your main control panel. So you have your on and off button just here. As you can see, mains is coming into the caravan. If I was plugged in with 13-pin electric, it would show that being lit up. I can view the levels of either the leisure battery or the vehicle battery by pressing in this button just here, or pressing in the respective button itself. Right now, you can see around 13.5 volts are coming into the caravan. That is coming from the mains. When you're plugged in with only your battery, that will give an accurate representation of the battery voltage. I have the lighting inside the caravan on and off on that button. Awning light, press that in, go to the outside, see awning light on. And then lastly, I have the water pump button, so I'm just going to press that in now. And that's going to begin to draw the water through and essentially fill up the boiler. Now, whilst that fills up, because it takes about 2 to 3 minutes if it hasn't been used in a bit of time, you have your trimmer control panel. So you have a dial here, which is also a button and a back button. So press in. First up, you have the caravan with the thermometer. That is for the internal temperature that you desire. It goes up to a maximum of 30 and starts at 5, or you can have it off. Next up, you have your water temperature. So you can either have that off, eco, which will get the water temperature to 40 degrees, hot, which will get the water temperature to 60 degrees, or boost, which will prioritize the water heat over the heating of the actual caravan for about 15 minutes, get the water up to the hot temperature, and then drop it back down to eco, which is ideal if you don't want to use a ridiculous amount of power and want to shower in the morning. Next up, you have your energy source. So you either have gas, a mixture of gas and 1 kilowatt of mains, a mixture of gas and 2 kilowatt of mains, strictly electric with 1 kilowatt, or strictly electric with 2 kilowatt. That is your sources for both your heating and hot water. So you can either run gas, mains, or a mixture of both. Then you have fan settings. So as I currently don't have the heating set on, I press in fan and I either have off or vent. And what vent does, it essentially circulates the air across the caravan. So you'd have all your windows open and it draws through the nice fresh air. Now, if I were to go back and put on the heating, so let's just put it on 8, go back to fan, I either have that on eco or high. Eco is a nice steady boost out of your vent, whilst high is a bit more of a vigorous one. So we'll just quickly turn that off because it's already roasting today. Then you have this icon here, which is for a timer. This allows you to start and stop when you'd like the actual heating and hot water to come on you first input when you'd like it to start and when you'd like it to stop afterwards. Then you have the time, so it's currently not 7 minutes past midnight. As the control is being reset or turned off completely, it will just go to midnight. So just set it to the correct time. Then you have the spanner, which is additional settings, so offset, temperature, brightness, 12 or 24 hour clock, language, index or reset. Not going to go through them. If you'd like to know what each part does, please have a look inside your book bag. And to turn this panel off, press and hold on this middle button. It will come up as off. Now naturally it will go to that screen if it hasn't been active in a while, but then you just twist it side to side or press it in and it will turn it back on. Now going back to the water pump itself, so I've pressed the water pump button, I've allowed it to draw through a little bit, come over to my tap, open up on both cold and hot, and what you're looking for is this nice steady continuous stream. Any coughs or sputters, go outside and check the strainer to make sure it's in the bottom of the barrel. As you can hear as well, when I draw water out of the system, it will then replace itself. So that's a bit vigorous just there. But essentially, you just want to let it run for around about 30 seconds, just so that you can see they're all active. If you're going to be using the sink and the shower as well, I'd recommend checking them as well. But as you can see, water goes into the basin and it will be draining out of the system outside just there. Turn that off, just like so. So quick summary: awning light, water pump, on and off switch, levels, and interior lights. Then just here we have your hob grill and oven. So this is all gas operated. So what you have to do, press in, twist to the side, that will feed through the gas, and then you press in your igniter. So this is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, all your burners nice and lit. Back to the central position. Now, when you first initially turn on the gas, it may be a case the flame cuts out. That's just the gas making its way through the system. And then we will do it again for the grill. So I'll try and do this with one hand. So there we go. You can see one side lit, and then it may take a second for it to just come through. Oh, there we go. There we go. As you can see, both sides nice and lit. I'm just being a bit stupid here. There we go. And then lastly, the oven. It's been a long day, cut me some slack. And you can see all of them nice and lit on the oven there as well. Only other real thing to note, you can have your gas plugged in, but make sure that your gas is turned off whilst travelling. And you have to have this glass sheet down whilst travelling, but don't put it down until all of these burners are cold to the touch. And just here we have your Dometic fridge operation. So to turn this on, press and hold on this button just here. It will flash up and go to its most recent memory, which in this case was auto on 2 out of 5. So you can change your mode to either 13-pin electric, gas, mains or auto. Auto will automatically switch over to what the fridge thinks is the best source to use. So press it once, goes over to the battery. Now, as you can see, because I'm not currently plugged in, it will begin to flash up and beep at me. Press it again, it will go over to gas. Now for gas, it will gradually begin to tick in. Then once it's finished ticking, that means it is then lit. I would recommend checking all of your hob grill and oven before you do switch over to gas. Then you have mains or auto, which is probably the most sensible one to use as it chooses the best source at the time. Then you have that temperature button. The thicker the bar, the more power coming into the van, the quicker it's going to chill. You have safety locks on the top and bottom. Open it up, as you can see when it's on, there's lights inside. Then to turn this off, press and hold on this button just here, turns itself off, no more lights. Then just here we have your toilet operation, which you might say is bog simple. Press in this button here, and that is your flush button. We'll push around any water inside the system, and then to remove the waste, press away just here, opens up the catch, pull it back towards you, and that will then shut it up. Has to be shut to be able to remove the cassette. When the cassette is full, there'll be a red icon come on underneath there telling you empty your bog.